Welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix. My name is Dangerous, and this is Crosshair, the show that features runs with bullets. First-person shooters, third-person shooters, shmups, bullet hells, lasers, rockets, grenades, paintballs, and shotgun shells. If it's got bullets in it, it's got a home here at Crosshair. If you've got a run that you think qualifies for Crosshair or any of our other GDQ Hotfix shows, head on over to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix and fill out the run submission form, and you just may end up on a future episode of the GDQ Hotfix. Before we get started into anything, I did want to welcome you all back from SGDQ. I know it's been like a week and a half since we've been back, but this is the first episode of Crosshair that we've had since we got back. So I wanted to say welcome back, and I hope you all enjoyed the event. It was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of really good runs. So you can check those out over at the youtube.com/gamesdonequick if there's any runs that you missed from the event. That said, let's talk about today's run of show. We've got Devil May Cry for you, and it's one of the most beloved series of modern games for a reason. And we got two very talented runners here today to feature some stuff. We're going to be wrapping up with my good friend DE Cosmic doing the run of Devil May Cry 4. But before that, Cosmic is actually already here because he's going to be doing commentary on DMC Devil May Cry, the Ninja Theory version. And that is going to be run by Anemone V2. Anemone, welcome to Crosshair, and how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. It is my first time being on a hotfix, and I'm glad to be here.
Nice, let's go. And Cosmic?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm DE Cosmic, and I run all the Devil May Cries, and I am super stoked for everybody to see this run today. It's sick, and Anemone's pretty sick at it, so happy to help.
Heck yeah.
All right, so
all right.
I guess
we're ready to go whenever you are. Just give us a countdown, and let's get this show going.
All right, it'll be on go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Right at the very start, we will be introduced with the idea of grouping enemies together, trying to kill them as close as possible to each other.
Yeah, and this version of Dante, he's just going to start out with the sword. That's it. We don't have the guns yet. We're going to get them in a little bit here. So Anemone is going to be doing 3 hits of the Rebellion combo and then doing Launcher after that, because he's going to be able to overlap the damage on enemies so he can kill them even faster. And then we're going to get introduced to white orbs and red orbs. So everybody's kind of familiar with red orbs in this series. That's the currency for consumables. But in this game, white orbs are what we're going to be using to purchase abilities. And they're going to come in like a point system. So you collect X amount of white orbs, it's going to amount to 1 point. And we're going to be able to refund those too. We're going to kind of swap abilities in and out and everything. So Dante here is going to jump across these trailers and get Ebony and Ivory. And Ebony and Ivory in this game are a little bit different from the rest of the series. So not only is this the only game in the series where shooting them on the ground is the same speed as shooting them in the air. Usually in Devil May Cry, it's actually faster to shoot the guns in the air. But also, if you move Dante around, in any of the cardinal directions, it will increase the damage that Ebony and Ivory do. And it's pretty cool. It does a little bit extra damage. It's pretty good when you're trying to get enemies that are just out of range. Now that you finished that so fast, I couldn't even talk about anything that was going on there. So now we're gonna go out of bounds, and he's just gonna jump up here and go towards this Ferris wheel, just by getting on a little piece of geometry there. I remember when this got found. This is so sick. Now we're just going to be going through here. There would be a whole couple of fights that we would have to do over here, but we're going to activate the cutscene, and then we'll get right into the tunnels, the first part here. So in this part of the level, Dante is getting chased by the hunter, and he's placed in this sort of like, I guess, purgatory or whatever, called limbo. It's sort of it's like the demonic version of the human world. That's why it's constantly warping around him and changing, and there's all these demons everywhere, and he doesn't know what's going on. He's like, man, what the heck? So I guess he decided to go out of bounds to see what was going on. And now in this gear room here, we're going to try and again group enemies together. This is also pretty important because at the S ranks in this game, we're going to get a damage boost as well. which is pretty important for the boss coming up. So anytime you can keep on the S rank in this game is going to immediately speed you up. We're going to get through here, and Anemone is actually going to be buying his first ability, which is going to be level 2 Hacker, which is going to be an upgrade for the basic combo for Rebellion the Sword. And then he's going to get right into Hunter. Now, Hunter is usually 3 phases. We're going to try and 2 phase him. Once we get on in here. Also, that rolling there that Anemone is doing, just a little bit faster than running right at the moment. So we're going to dance around a little bit here with Ebony and Ivory. Hunter's going to get up to us. We're going to hit him right in the head here, where his weak point is. And Anemone, pay close attention here. He's hitting both the hand and the head when he can. Then we're going to position ourselves right here. So we've got the S rank, got a lot of damage here going on. So we should be able to... Okay.
I'm not going to get it.
Oh, unfortunate. That's cool. So... now we just got to deflect this little wheel back at him. So this game actually has a parry system where if you strike an enemy's attack while it's coming at you, in most cases anyway, you'll be able to just deflect it back at them. Some of the enemies that we saw earlier, the little flying enemies, they'll toss bombs at you that you can deflect back at them. In the case of the Hunter there, we were able to deflect his little like pinwheel blade at him, but you can normally do that in 2 phases. Now we're going to get everybody's favorite Devil May Cry ability, Stinger. I know we all spammed this during our first playthrough as soon as we got it. I know I did. Also, something to note about the menuing in this game. So if you use, obviously you can navigate it with either the left analog stick or the D-pad, but actually if you use the left analog stick and the right analog stick and hold both directions, you can go up and down in the menu faster. So that really fast menuing that Anemone did right there was because he was using both analog sticks to do it. It reminds me of how like holding forward in Drake of the 99 Dragons on 360 actually makes you run faster, apparently. But yeah, it's interesting. So now we're going to get into Mission 2. This is where Dante is searching for his family history. He's learning more about how his father, Sparta, was a demon, and he's going to be getting some weapons from his dad, but not before we're going to get introduced to these enemies that have shields. And we got to get right behind them. So Anemone hit this guy with a stinger just to get him stunned a little bit or blocking, and then he's going to go behind, boom, 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 done. And so... now we've got Arbiter, the axe. So I'll just going to henceforth refer to it as axe. So the axe is an interesting tool because the first hit of it is like a knockback. So we're going to, for a little while, we're only going to be using it in certain scenarios like this where we want to use the fault line there in order to knock these enemies up and rob them of their defense with the shield. And unfortunately, that one guy here is giving Anemone a lot of trouble because he's just sort of bobbing and weaving out of the fault line. But nothing doing, cleaning him up. And then we actually get to just do Stinger movement now for right now. And in this game, you can actually just buffer the forward input on Stinger into itself so you can save a few frames each time you input Stinger that way. You don't have to wait until the recovery is actually over to start inputting it. Very nice cleanup here too, and the night's down. This mission, by the way, I think is actually the longest mission in the entire Devil May Cry series. It's not terribly long by speedrun, like in the speedrun, but like out of all the speedrun levels, I think it is actually the longest, which is because of like all the cool abilities we get during it. So I don't really mind it, but it is something to note. Again, we see like the big use of the fault line here and just totally going to town on these guys. He's flying through these. I'm usually trying to fumble for like a 3rd or 4th fault line attack there. Good grief. All right,
these
so now,
little segments we're going into is primarily what will make this mission the longest mission.
Oh yeah, absolutely. These are like tutorial sections where the game is going to introduce us to some of the main movement and like displacement mechanics that are present. So the first one is going to be Demon Pull. This allows us to pull objects to us, including enemies, but we're not going to have to do that little pull right there. Just a little bit of a platforming skip. And this is going to be a little bit of movement here. So actually, Dane, if you have anything you need to talk about, that's fine right here.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, so I was mentioning at the top of the show, we do have all of our VODs from past events and hot fixes and everything that we do here on the GDQ Twitch channel over at our YouTube, youtube.com/gamesdonequick. So if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with GDQ. And if you are watching from YouTube, you should come join us over at Twitch, twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. You can watch the runs live and see all the goodness and talk with chat and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. So another little platforming skip there. I gotta say, like, the level design in this game is honestly some of my favorite in the series. The way that the limbo constantly just like warps and twists around Dante as we go through these levels is really what makes some of like the platforming skips that we do in this game so interesting, because of the way that like everything is so contorted. And it also actually leads into something that we're going to get into in the next fight, which is that this is like the only Devil May Cry game to really feature environmental kills. So the Bathos here, we're not going to kill these guys with the environment, but these dudes right here, we're just going to drop them in the drink right now, and they're gone. You actually get a little extra points for doing environmental kills here too. So we're going to be using the environment actually to our advantage a decent amount in this, which is pretty unique to this game. Normally, like in Devil May Cry, you're going to be using your own weapons, or in some cases, turning the damage that enemies do to you against them. Now, this is Dante's mother, Eva. She's a human that fell in love with a demon, or I guess in this actually, she's an angel that fell in love with a demon, which makes Dante a Nephilim, or half angel, half demon. So this game utilizes a weapon system similar to what we see in Dante's Inferno. I forget exactly what year that came out, but you have the blue weapons and the red weapons. And the blue weapons are the angel weapons, and then the red weapons are the demon weapons. So we actually get like a scythe from Eva here. It's not terribly useful throughout most of the game, and actually because of the differences that are in Definitive Edition, which is the version that we're running on, this is why the game looks so fast, is because on Definitive Edition, which came out for 8th gen, so PS4 and Xbox One, it's at 60 FPS now, and we can also turn on turbo mode, which increases the game's work rate by 20%. But in this version of the game, the enemies that are either colored red or blue, normally you would only be able to do damage to them with, this is a cool cancel here too. You can actually cancel the scythe there with the guns to get less recovery between spins, so you can actually take out that door a little faster. But you can actually, in this version of the game, you can hurt the enemies, any enemy, with any color weapon. So it actually decreased the usefulness of the angel weapons in some cases, specifically the scythe in this game. Now, here's the angel lift. This is going to be an ability that allows us to pull ourselves to enemies as well as to displace ourselves in the environment. So we're going to be able to just get through this area pretty easy peasy. Just following the path. There's going to be a little neat trick here where we're going to actually use this enemy to our advantage. Boom. Roll into more climbing here. The game is pretty good. That's unfortunate. I mean, that's just how the platforming in this game. Yeah, like if you try to do the platforming in this game too fast, sometimes the game's just like, what are you doing, dude? I needed you to wait. So even at its best, because this is like some of the best platforming that will happen in the DMC series, there's still some quirks to it where it's like, come on, man, I wanted to play faster.
Remember the platforming in 1 being real janky.
Oh, yeah.
Terribly shocked me.
Yeah, there's a reason that we skip over all that platforming with Vortex, because we don't want to deal with it. Yeah. So, getting into the last area of this, there's going to be a little bit more movement here, but first we're going to be hitting the Bathos here. Now, these guys got shields, and we're just going to pull them away from them with the demon pull, sorry. And then we're going to pull ourselves to him, group all these enemies together, because we're going to kind of let them congregate underneath Dante as he's killing the Bathos. and then we can just rip through them.
I gotta say, Dante looks as much like Dante in this game as Chris Redfield looks like Chris Redfield in RE7.
I actually think it's worse in this game. And I mean, it doesn't help that
very well could be.
And it doesn't help that we're using like an alternate costume, which I forgot to talk about why we're using this actually. So a weird quirk of the costumes in this game is that any costume that does not have a coat, I guess, is more aerodynamic or something, because Anemone figured out that they actually move slightly faster when he moves slightly faster when he's not wearing a coat. So I think you can save probably like a minute or something across the course of the run. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anemone, but I believe that's the final figure that we kind of landed on.
Actual wind physics, incredible.
Yeah, it's so strange.
Well, I'm not too sure if it's in Definitive Edition, but 100% in Vanilla, Neo Dante does move faster with just Neo Dante equipped. It's not only in the air. When you roll, you can notice it's faster. When you swing your sword, you notice it's faster. It's a lot of dumb stuff.
So now we grabbed a couple more abilities, namely the enemy step. So Anemone is going to be pulling.
We actually didn't grab enemy step.
Oh, we didn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got judgment instead. That was an oopsie.
Well, it's okay. Because we still managed to do the skip anyway, so we would have normally had to do a fight here and then like do a bunch of platforming to go around and grab the blue rose here. But we were just able to use the enemy there and use how the demon pool resets our air actions to gain height. And now we get into the bread and butter of the movement in this game, which is going to be the Angel Glide. And so you can do Angel Glide into Trickster Dodge. In this game, or in this version of the game, Definitive Edition, they actually added a triple dodge off of the Angel Dodge. Normally you could only do one dodge, but there was actually a mod that the community made where you could do like basically infinite Angel Dodges, and they just called it Trickster Evade. But when the game got ported and made into Definitive Edition, Ninja Theory actually decided we're going to do a version of that, but you can only do 3 of them. And I think that's pretty fair, actually. So typically what we'll do for these movement sections is do one Angel Slide or one Angel Glide into 2 Trickster Evades, or 1 or 2, depending, and then go back right into Angel Glide. And it looks really smooth, feels really great to do. I honestly think that, like, not for nothing, but the movement in this game is like some of the most satisfying in the whole series. It's really cool to do in the levels. So we're going to take out these bathos here. Now this is going to be a big thing where Anemone really wants to control the camera, because the camera actually controls where enemies kind of spawn in, and it also controls enemy aggression. So these chainsaw guys here, he's going to move away his camera so that the other enemy cannot attack. And then he's going to be able to clean him up. And you also see here the effects of the S rank again. That enemy normally would not have died from the one strike of the first strike of the axe. But because Anemone had the damage boost from S rank, that enemy just went straight down. So now...
Not to mention earlier talking about Angel Evades, if you happen to do 3 Angel Evades to fix your movement, there is a lockout window before you can do anything else.
So now, this is where things get really fun, because this is where we get introduced to infinite climbs. Now, there's a move in this game where you can do like Rainstorm. You have gun specials, essentially. But by rebinding the gun special to a dedicated button instead of a combination of square and X, we can spam the Angel Evade to gain height infinite, or I'm sorry, not Angel Evade, Angel Lift. We can spam it infinitely to gain height infinitely. So there's a cutscene trigger here that would normally activate a fight, but
It looks so silly.
it's so great. But now we're just going to go right over. And this is like a pretty rhythm-heavy sort of skip as well, I got to add. It is not easy to do this, folks. It takes some endurance. It takes some rhythm. It takes... I mean, you got to, like, curb your humor as well, because if you start laughing at Dante too hard, you're gonna mess it up. But now we're over.
I mean, I'm not doing it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I'm saying you can keep laughing. That's fine. I'm laughing internally too. But
An enemy can't laugh at it.
Exactly. Yes.
Lose the rhythm.
Straight face, super serious, life or death.
But now we're skipping, by the way, we skipped like 2 or 3 fights and like a couple of cutscenes at this point now. So now we're going to go through here, and then he's going to go ahead and use Ebony and Ivory to actually stall in the air so that the area can load in. And then when it's loaded in more, then he's going to be able to just cruise on through. There would have been a huge fight there where like these cameras are watching Dante, and you got to take them out, and there's a bunch of enemies and everything. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And there we go. Oh, hey, guns. We like those on this show. We like the
I'm trying to think
bullets.
of what that segment reminds me of.
I don't know,
Like
but
the
it's
environment.
it's
kind
one of the
being warped around.
it's one of the coolest in the whole game. It was like I think one of the earliest ones that was shown as well, with like the streets all twisting and winding around him. Here's also
Like
the first.
Inception.
Yeah, actually,
That's a good one.
That's
for it,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. So now he's going to be making short work of these guys. Those, by the way, were the Frost Knights. They can only be put in hits done by blue weapons, but we can do... Oh, this is a great grouping right here. Those guys have chainsaws, by the way.
That was
going
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. So these guys right here, he's going to get him to knock down. He actually got him to run in the opposite direction by enemies stepping off of him. And down he goes.
Another possible mini skip, really hard, super inconsistent. It's a zip more than it is a skip. I'll try for it the one time. Yeah, no.
Okay, darn. Yeah, sometimes you can actually get Dante to move with the geometry there, and then it saves a few seconds, but it's tough.
Police have released footage of the
It's 3 seconds for each angel pool.
Oh, okay.
Or, well, less than that, not 3. 3 is way too much.
Fair enough. So now we're going to get a nice projectile here. We're going to get overdrive. Do sword waves count as bullets, Dane? You be the judge.
Sure. I
Excellent.
mean, I'm of the persuasion that I will eventually have Fatal Frame on the show and just say photos or bullets. So
Fair enough. So this whole section right here is just going to be sort of a walk and talk, where Dante and Kat talk about how Kat met Virgil and how he has a very normal thing like a private army, and how he encouraged Kat to have these visions where she could go into limbo and all that sort of stuff. This is actually, I think, one of the first sections where Anemone noticed how much faster the coatless costumes were, because the dialogue nearly gets cut off here if you're wearing a coatless outfit, but if you're wearing an outfit with a coat on it, it just plays kind of out like normal, but it very nearly gets cut off when we hit the cutscene trigger here, as long as your movement's good.
easy enough.
Maybe.
This is a factory where Mundus and the demons make this drink called Virility. It's basically a sedative that they use on the humans to keep them enslaved, keep their minds enslaved. And it encourages people to not be the best versions of themselves. So Dante's like, well, we got to get to the heart of the matter here. We got to figure out what's going on. And so we're gonna do another skip to get to the heart of the matter a little quicker.
What took you so long?
We're gonna do this. Yep. Spawn that guy in. Boom, boom, boom. This is gonna be another infinite climb. There's actually a couple of versions of this, but Anemone has said he's more comfortable with the infinite climb version, which more power to you, Chief, because I like the non-glitched version of this because my hands are not built that different, to be honest. Nice.
this is my favorite skip. It's so good.
It's so great, dude. He has to be pretty careful here too, coming up, because we got to make sure that we hit a checkpoint reset. Because if you try to do a fight after this skip has happened, it will actually soft lock you. So as soon as we hit this next fight here, there's going to be a checkpoint reset, and then we're going to be fighting our first combination of blue and red enemies. So there's going to be some kind of like management between the two of them as well to finish them up a little faster, where we're going to go over right to the blue enemy and then crowd control them a little bit. Now, Anemone is using this move called Trinity Smash. And whenever like a weapon glows, that tells you that you've hit the delay window for a combo, so you get an alternate attack when you hit the third chain. And then Trinity Smash is just this big triple hit axe attack that does tons and tons of damage. And now, this is where we're going to manipulate the camera again, because now all these enemies we're vying to get on camera, and we're going to use the sword here. I forgot what it was for a second. I was really tempted to say the bullets here. We're going to use those to take out these guys. And that was like a setup that actually Anemone came up with, that little, like going right to the stairs, because we used to actually fight these guys in the middle of the room, but no longer. And then these wheels are going to come right out and be kind of rude. And then we're going to be moving onward. We're going to use the Ebony and Ivory increased damage to keep going. Going to skate on past that guy. Whoops.
He got fat for a minute. He hit me like right next to the wall.
He was like swole. These are like the rudest tunnels in the entire game, by the way. Not only do they are they just telling you to die the entire time, they're like constantly shifting your camera around, because it's like, no, you want to go back and fight the enemies, right? And it's like, no, I don't actually. We're going to drop these guys again in the vats, and then it'll be like, oh, okay, well, we're cool. Sweet. Got to pull that guy twice because he's got a shield active as well.
If a smaller enemy that isn't colored has a shield, there's still a chance it deflects it. Very small, but as you increase in difficulty, more enemies will try and deflect your pull-ins.
Nice.
Congratulations.
That was a pretty clean fight, I gotta say. Pretty sweet. Now we're gonna head on over to Cat here. And then we're gonna get into, I believe, missions. Yeah, mission 6. This is where we're gonna get Demon Evade. And then I think, what did you grab? Aerial Rave?
Aerial Rave, yeah.
Yeah, Aerial Rave level 2. Yep. So I always have to double check some notes, because as more skips got found in this game, it actually decreases the amount of white orbs that you get. So in effect, it affects the buy route a lot more directly than it would some other Devil May Cries, because pretty much, like, this is one of the easier Devil May Cries to get into because of how set the route is for upgrades. Like, you really don't have to worry about ranks. It is good to keep S ranks in combat for the reasons that we mentioned, you know, with the damage boost and everything. But you don't have to worry about missing out on upgrades, because as long as you're doing the same fights, you're always going to get the same upgrades, because you're going to get the same amount of white orbs. Now, when more skips got found, that meant we got less white orbs, so we had to figure out how to reroute a little bit in terms of what like moves we were going to get. Because we used to get stuff pretty early on when we were doing a lot more fights, but not so much the case anymore. Now,
no major glitches is starting to look like how any percent used to look.
It's true, yeah. Now we're going to get into the Succubus here. This is going to be a 3-phaser. It's pretty much locked into a 3-phase. We got the Demon Evade here. Demon Evade allows us to do tons of damage like this.
Wow.
Yeah, she just goes down immediately. So it adds a multiplier onto Dante's attacks. And then this game actually has a mechanic called attack offset, or similar to how Bayonetta has dodge offset. So you don't have to actually use a weapon. Like, you can start a combo with one weapon and end it with a different weapon. So Anemone is doing the first 2 hits of the Rebellion combo and then using the axe for the last hit. So he has access to Trinity Smash that much sooner, rather than just doing the 3 slow hits of the axe combo. So this boss, as a result, just melts. Because not only do you have, you know, the really, really high base damage of Trinity Smash, but we have that Demon Evade multiplier. And she's pretty much down. Now we just got to do a little bit of movement here. And also I like how this is like an FMV, so the alternate costume, it's not actually in that cutscene. It's just a video file that plays. And she is gonna, this is just like kind of like grippy cinematics and all that sort of stuff. If we can actually get this skip, there's like a mini skip here too, where Dante is like, you know what your problem is? And normally he says you're too clingy, as a joke for her, you know, gripping onto that stone. But when you do that skip like how Anemone just did, he never actually answers his own question. So it just becomes rhetorical. All right, so now mission 7, we're gonna get Showdown level 2 for Eric's, and I think we also got Stinger level 2. You menued so fast, I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah, we should have. I think I've already refunded the Stingers, but we get Showdown and Stomp level 2.
Oh, that makes sense actually. So mission 7 here. Mission 7, we're actually underwater. So Kat and Dante, they're like, you know, in their car driving around talking about stuff. Dante tells her he has trouble trusting people and he's going to proceed to trust everybody that he meets throughout the course of the game. So not sure what that's about. But then they go crashing into the ocean, and now they're in limbo again. Now we're in limbo again. Now we've got the Hulk hands, everybody's favorite gauntlets, the Erics. We got those from the Succubus. And we're going to just kind of go right over this fight again here.
Best skip.
Best skip. Something funny to note about Eric's as well, that Stomp ability that Anemone mentioned. Yep, now we're just over this. So Stomp actually used to be a universal move in like early builds of the game. So the game doesn't actually recognize Stomp as a part of Eric's. It used to just be called Demon Stomp. And this is like from what people have found from like, you know, checking out early trailers of the game, as well as like a debug menu and stuff. But so if like those doors that you like, if you try to hit them with Eric's, they're just not gonna do anything. It's really strange. Little tidbit there. That yeah, Stomp used to not be part of Eric's. It used to just be a universal ability.
Whatever you are, get the hell out of here.
Coming up right here, it's pretty interesting stuff. There's a lot of very interesting things about this game's development that are quite fascinating. So this is probably one of the harder skips in the game because we have to go kind of out on a limb here to do it. And we're really going to be like pushing the boundaries of what Dante's capable of out of bounds here. Because we're going to be like wedging ourselves in here and just, yeah, he's like stuck almost. Yeah, now he's out.
Holy moly.
And I should note that in a lot of the out of bounds sections in this game, not only do you have to be really good at these infinite climbs, but you also have to understand how the console that you're on loads in these areas. So a lot of what Anemone is doing is based on just like playing these sections over and over again and understanding how his console, like it can be either PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PS5, how they load it in. I don't think there's much difference between like the two platforms in terms of like PS4 versus Xbox One, but there is a difference between PS4 and PS5. And in some cases, you may have to like pause buffer some things, or you can just kind of let it rip like he just did there in skipping the entire level. We skipped like 4 or 5 fights, by the way. And now we're just right here at the end with these harpies. And we're just going to deal with it.
Sometimes they can spawn off the edge and you'd get quicker kills, but not very lucky this time.
Unfortunate. Now, mission 8 here. We're going to get Hacker and Judgment. This is also kind of a difficult oops section. This is sort of a longer one, too. It only saves about a minute over doing this whole section glitchless, but you do just kind of get to walk to the end if you do this correctly. And we're going to actually get to see a very funny like side load that the game does here in a moment. So I will let Anemone lock in for this. Nice, dude. And you have been on it.
Yeah, my infinite climbs are good. This is the part where it can mess up. Thankfully, it didn't.
Also, there's a train over on the side that's just kind of chilling out in space, by the way.
Interesting.
That is the demon train that chases you, like, through these tunnels. You have to, like, regularly contend with it passing through the fights that you do, as well as when you're exiting and leaving this area. You'll have to pay attention to it. We're also going to hit the cutscene trigger from underneath here. And we're going to get this guy named Phineas's eye, because Phineas is missing an eye. He's like, hey, Dante, can you get it back for me? And Dante's like, yeah, sure. I've never met you before, but yeah, I can do that. That's cool. Proving that even this Dante has a heart of gold at the end of the day. So we're going to take out these guys. Now, the out of bounds that we did earlier is going to kind of mess up the way that the rest of this level treats itself. So when we go back through, we're going to have to be a little more creative. This game, it handles being sequence broken quite well. What it does not really handle, I should say, like, super, cleanly, is having like some scripted sequences broken. So sometimes if you just bypass these flags, it's not going to correct itself later. It's going to be like, well, you got to go back and hit these flags. Like, what are you doing, dude? Even though, like, you know, we just got the eye, it's like, no, dude, you should be back over here at the beginning of the level. Like, what are you talking about? So it doesn't even load in these areas over here. So we got to get in here, and we got to do this fight while there's still an invisible wall here, because the game still thinks that it hasn't shifted everything. This is one of the quirks of how, like, intricate some of the level design is in this game, is that enemy on the other side of the room is going to, like, run into that wall, but he's not going to be able to reach us. So we have to just, like, use Demon Evade here and then use Trinity Smash and just be like, yeah, can you just keep doing stuff and getting closer to us so we can hit you through the invisible wall?
Very rare he'll do that belly stomp too. Usually he really likes just swinging at you.
Yeah.
So the more you see of that, the better. But you only really need to see it once. The Demon Evade will... Demon Evade is under talked about. It's one of the reasons we go so fast.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So mission 9. This is going to be... This is good. This has got another skip, actually, but it's going to be... You're going to do the non-infinite climb version of this, right?
Yeah.
All right, sick. And you're doing the little
I will
skip
try
here.
I will try it.
All right, sick. Okay. Hopefully this works out because it is quite funny looking. So we'll see what happens here. Because there is a little skip that can happen here. Yes, we got it. Okay. Oh, that was good. Awesome.
That was the fastest I've ever done it. That was really good.
So that's
nice.
that was like the gun flight, or the Ebony and Ivory flight, where for whatever reason, when you collide with Phineas's model like that and you shoot and then jump, it'll just cause Dante to shoot across the map while holding Ebony and Ivory in his hand, but with his feet like kicked up as if he's against a wall. And then we just grabbed the Devil Trigger emblem there.
Why does every skip in this game look so funny?
I don't know. I want to say it's like Unreal Engine 3, but you know, maybe, yeah.
Reminded me a little bit of the jet ski when you used Ditman in RE4 OG.
Yeah.
Zoom off without the jet ski. Kind of looked a little bit like that.
That's actually a really good comparison. Wow, I didn't even think about that. So now we have Devil Trigger, and this is going to launch the enemies into the air, and we're just going to hit them with a projectile here, and they're going to go flying off. Now, the skip that's going to come up here is actually going to be geometry-based. We're not going to use infinite climb because this version's a little faster. We're going to jump on this angel's head and then try and jump on like its shoulders in order to bypass having to do another fight. Some of the geometry here is a little tricky, though. So see what we got.
Right, the tower.
So we got there's like a really weird sort of, yeah, like it's squares. Okay, nice. That was really good. So now we're on the final fight of the level. And we're just going to be taking these guys out.
What a lucky grenade.
Yeah, right?
Sucks I got hit, but lucky grenade.
That guy knew what show he was on. He was like, I'm sending it.
Wow, and the witch. Whoa! Okay.
Whoa.
Okay, that's weird.
Okay, but we knocked her sword back at her, and then we're going to just drop her in the drink. And now we're out of there.
Yeah, no, that was really weird. Usually when you're in demon mode or devil trigger, enemies like to stay floated in the air. Even special enemies such as that witch.
Yeah.
I have never actually seen that happen.
Yeah, some of the enemy behavior in this game is quite funny. Like the moment you think you have them figured out, they surprise you. And it's like, oh, okay. All right, I see you. So now getting into the last mission of this area. Go ahead.
Last night I was doing mission 10, or no, it was mission 12, and I was standing in the room that we'll see it later. But basically, Kat still got shot, even though I was in the room with her.
Oh, what the heck! So last mission of this underwater area, we're going to be fighting Bob Barbas. And we're going to just be kind of going through here a little bit. There's a little bit of platforming here. This fight's also a little bit changed on Definitive Edition. In the normal version of the game or the vanilla version of the game, when you did we're going to be stomping these pads, like these red pads, in order to expose his weak points to bring him through his phases in Raptor News Network here. But in Definitive Edition, he does not get stunned. In the vanilla version, he gets stunned. So we're going to have to be a little bit more careful in terms of how we approach the obstacles that he throws our way. Segue into this. Visually, I think this boss might be my favorite, because it is just wild looking. Just
good to note here that first stomp you'll have to do will always be in the same place, while the other two can be random.
Fair enough. Nice. So, I've been talking a lot, and we've got sort of an auto-scroller section here. So, Dane, take it away.
Sure thing. Yeah, folks, remember that PAX West is coming up soon from August 29th to September 1st, and Games Done Quick will be returning to it. So you have until July 27th, that's mapping this out correctly, that's this Sunday, for a chance to showcase your runs live in Seattle. Selected runners will receive an event badge. You can get more info about that at gdq.gg/submit. Again, that's the window to submit runs for PAX West closes this Sunday, the 27th.
It's going to be an awesome event, too.
Would be nice to be able to afford a way out there, but with the way gas and stuff is, good luck to the people who can go.
Yeah, definitely.
I sadly won't be there.
Darn. One day. So, I didn't realize that you did this strat here, where he just knocks these guys into the amusement park. I'm so used to what I do on this section, where I like jump cancel the enemies up into the air like infinitely. I just realized what you were doing while Dane was talking. I was like, what on earth, dude? All right, so now we're going to go ahead, activate Devil Trigger here, and then use the axe and a little bit of sword. And now we're going to get into the second little bit of auto-scroller here. It is actually beneficial in some regards to make sure that you do kill enemies on this section, because you do get some white orbs from them. It's not paramount, but, you know, it's going to be... It's more white orbs never hurt anybody. The ability to buy more upgrades never hurt. Also, something to note here too, Anemone is getting in the air so high with Stomp because the higher up you do an attack in this game, the more damage it does. So like I should say if the height that you hit the ground at is like really high, like the further distance you travel, the more damage your attack is going to do. So like Helmbreaker, when you slam down with your sword, if you slam an enemy from really high up, then it's going to do a ton more damage. Stomp is going to do more damage, and we use this like pretty regularly for crowd control. It's a neat little like quirk of the system. Something too about like Devil Trigger in this game is that in the config files for this game, you can actually note that like Devil Trigger has like 120% drain rate. It's supposed to be 100 on the ground and 120 on the ground, but 100 in the air. But they scrapped that idea like pretty early in development. So now the Devil Trigger just drains faster than it's supposed to. And now Bob Barbas is down. And that's going to be like the end of that section. So I think that we're coming up on break time now.
Sure. Yeah, we can pause the timer here if we are jumping into the next mission.
Yep.
So yeah, folks, we'll pause the timer here. We'll take a short little break just because we are big fans of health and wellness here at Games Done Quick, and we do want to give you all a chance to get up, stretch your legs, get some water, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. See you soon. Welcome back to Crosshair here on the GDQ Hotfix. We are knee deep in a run of DMC Devil May Cry from Ninja Theory, and Anemone is gunning through it. So Anemone, whenever you're ready, give us another countdown and let's get this show back on the road.
Alrighty. 3 on go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so now we've got the Aquila, which are these little like bladed tri-ended things. I don't really know how to... Glaives, I guess? Yeah, we're going to go with glaives. So we've got this new weapon, and it's awesome because it's going to be the crux of Dante's crowd control in pretty much all the fights going forward. So we're going to pull all these enemies together and just totally smash them. Boom, those guys are gone. And we've got the triple S rank moving into the next part of this fight, which is going to be super important because we're going to parry this guy's thing back at him and then do a ton of damage with the axe here from that damage boost on the S rank. Now we're going to take this guy right here real quick. And we're just going to go right on through here.
Where are you guys?
And then... Oh, now we're out of bounds, by the way. Because the rest of the level didn't load in. We went in here early. So now we've skipped like a huge fight, and we're about to skip more. Anemone's just going to infinite climb through the ceiling here of the underground. This is the underground hideout of Virgil's army called the Order. And we're just gonna be right on top of it. We're just gonna be right on top of the geometry here. We don't gotta do any of the fights until like the very last one, really. So we're gonna drop onto the checkpoints there and then go right on in. It's gonna be like, you can't save her. And then there's gonna be a parry from this guy, the Butcher. Gonna take him out. He's gonna blow up that dude. And we're gonna be able to use the Aquila the pull-ins, or buy-in, I believe they're called, buy-in. That's the move name.
Yep.
And then this guy right here is the Dreamweaver, the Dreamwalk. Yeah, Drekavok. But he's normally like, he's supposed to be like the rival character in this, like the rival enemy boss thing. But he just kind of goes down in 3 hits from the axe. Moving into mission 12, there's a little bit of like a walk and talk section here, but there's still out of bounds capability, actually. I think this is also another one that Anemone himself found, because you can just kind of wedge yourself in some of the geometry here.
I didn't find this out of bounds. I just
optimized it, right?
Yeah.
You optimized it. Okay, so this is one that Toro found.
Yeah, Toro helped optimize it too.
Okay.
Toro
there we
helped
go.
with a lot of these optimizations.
Yeah, Toro is that guy. So we're gonna jump up onto this unloaded texture here. And we're out of bounds again. And then we just kind of get to skip all of this, like, walk and talking again, or at least most of it. And the graphics here are going to be glitching out a little bit, but it's fine. So in this, like, Dante's kind of between the human world and the demon world, and he's trying to just get Cat to safety. That's why he can't really interact with the guards here, or like the army, so he's just got to make do with what he can by like pulling objects in the environment and just kind of guiding Cat through the different areas. It is faster to just jump like this rather than walk as well, and that kind of, I think that kind of speeds up Cat a little bit as well.
They'll pay for this. But right now,
Yep, there she is. She was zooming. Sheesh. And then we're going to get into this area right here where we're going to see Virgil's throne. Everybody with good intentions in this game has like a throne, obviously. So, that being said, we're going to get into this area where Virgil is doing some hacker man stuff, and we're going to have to protect him. But we also got to care about Cat, because Cat's in danger as well. We're going to get the demon evade from this right here. And then he's going to be like, hey, I need you to keep doing this stuff. And Dante's like, okay, but we got to think about Cat here. So we're going to use the divinity statue here. We're just going to enter and exit it to skip some waiting around. And then we can use the Aquila buy-ins to move these guys over the pit. Again, environmental kills. Really, really strong in this game. Should be able to parry here. Yep. Bada bang, bada boom.
Now this demon bait is kind of time saver. Doesn't let us enemy jump. We just double jump and go for the stomp.
So here too, we're going to use the ebony and ivory tech where we're going to move around a little bit to take out these wheels a little faster. But anemone here is, yep, okay, cool. But if they hit us, whatever, that works too. Now we're going to get the Revenant, which is the shotgun. This weapon has some pretty good utility on top of doing a decent amount of damage. Like, it's going to take these guys out in one shot. So I question the sound effect usage here, because it does not sound entirely like a shotgun, I don't think, but it's fine. You know, I guess it could sound like a demon shotgun could sound like that. We're going to use the divinity statue again, just kind of skip time a little bit. And we got to pull these dudes into the middle here. This pit right here is going to be the crux of, like, all the clears on this level.
Nice.
This just very conveniently placed pit. We're going to also use the shotgun here to clip the wings of the harpies so that they can't actually rebound or like fly away from being, hit by the, like, defeated by the environment. And then boom. Ooh, oh, the double jump. Nice. And then I think that the last bit here is going to be these. I did not know that this was a thing. Wow. Oh, that's cool.
This is important.
That's dope. The sunset there. That was neat. I didn't know you could actually walk through that door. That's so dope.
I do it all the time.
this doesn't look good.
Awesome. And then those guys are down.
Come on, Virgil! It's done.
Now we're going to get into the nightclub. And when this level was designed, I guess somebody asked the question, how much orange do you want in this level with flashing lights? And somebody else responded, yes. So if you have any sensitivity to flashing lights or anything, we'll be through this pretty quick, but just want to give a warning for that in advance. Also, if you don't have an affinity for the color orange, then maybe there's some problems there too. But We're going to get into this right here. As you can see again, like the strobing that's happening. There's that. And this is the point where Dante is really starting to close in on Mundus because he's fighting against Dante's like partner, or his succubus now, Lilith. And we're going to, again, sort of have to like corral these enemies with buy-in from Aquila. And use the axe on the red enemy there too. A witch is going to appear here. And Anemone has to make sure that he manages her pretty quickly because things can spiral out if you let her live because she can shield the other enemies. However, down she goes because we're going to use a Devil Star there to refill up some of the Devil Trigger. And when you launch enemies with Devil Trigger, it will actually remove, like the Witch's Shield there, it just completely removed. It removes their resistances to some weapons. So like if an enemy is considered a blue enemy or a red enemy, it will no longer be considered that. It'll just be, you can hit them with whatever and stun them with whatever. We're going to wait right here and shotgun into some more axe stuff here too. Again, we want to be pretty careful with the camera just to make sure that, you know, and enemies don't go where we don't want them to or don't spawn where we don't want them to. And again, using that shotgun to take care of some of the Harpy's wings. I do got to say the music in this part is kind of bumping. Again, not for nothing, but like the soundtrack for this game, really, really good. Between like Combat Christ and Noisia, really solid picks. I always kind of find my head like bobbing whenever I'm playing this game, and like I get to this level and I'm like, ooh, oh yeah, okay.
I mean, DMC is like known for having great music, so.
Oh yeah. And it's what's interesting is that like this soundtrack is so far outside of like the typical stuff that we expect in a DMC game as well. And I think it's I easily think it's one of the strongest soundtracks in the series. So now we're almost out of the strobe territory. I think we're pretty much clear though, so good to go there because the rest of the lighting is pretty tame by comparison. No more like giant orange beams and stuff.
Congratulations. You're still in the running towards becoming Limbo's top fucking idiot.
And then we get into this fight here. The tough part about some of these fights is that like the floor is constantly like shifting the resistances for the weapons. This one's timed, but then the later fights actually have like it switches the resistances that are on the floor, so it encourages you to be in the air a lot more or to manage which weapon you're going to be on between the angel and the demon ones.
I don't have time for this.
We're just going to kind of cruise through here because we don't need to beat that enemy. We can just do that though, so he doesn't turn our camera around. It's a real pain when the camera, like if you try to ignore those enemies, the camera will turn around. So you can always just take them out real quick. Takes like a second. Gonna get really high in the air here, do some aerial raves to take out all those dudes really quick. Oh, almost. Nice. This is also the part of the game where it actually temporarily slows down. So we're like moving at normal speed for a little bit, and then it actually picks back up to turbo mode rate. It's the only part of the area, like part of the game where it does that, but it's still fascinating to me. And I have to think that it's because of the way that the game loads in this area, because it's changing so many assets at once. Like we were once in this huge, you know, like orange and red area, and now we're in this totally like blue area. We're gonna also do a bunch of skips here, just kind of skipping through some fights where we don't have to fight these guys. We can just go through the different, you know, the different platforms. We got to fight Drekavac here, or the Dream Weaver, Dream Walker. He's gonna.
If you maintained an S rank from the earlier fights, you'll one-shot him. But yeah, we got the one shot. But after 3 hits, you'll get a scene of him leaving.
Yeah. Then the Devil Trigger Crosshair that Anemone bought, that's gonna be used to refill his Devil Trigger, and it also gives him a little bit extra as well. because it just upgrades your total amount of Devil Trigger that you can have. And it's going to be really useful for these enemies, the Rages.
Get that skim bag you
So the first one here, we're just going to launch it. And then we're going to... Okay, there we go. And then the Blood Rage here, we're up.
Spooky, because now I don't know if I have enough DT to kill them both when they both show up. Get rid of the red one first.
Boom. Yeah, you'll be alright.
Yeah.
So a little adaptation here, just got to use the glaive ability. Knock it in the air with Aquila, and boom, it's down. Now this fight here against Mundus's offspring, this fight actually changed as well on Definitive Edition. We used to be able to like one cycle or one phase this guy, but now the game actually forces like certain damage thresholds. So Anemone is going to dodge over to the side here and hit that arm that's coming out of the side of the boss, and then hit the eye, and that's going to cause him to have to pull out Lilith, and then we can just do the axe right here. Ugh. Pretty grotesque. If there's any point where this game really taps into like the horror elements that it borrows from like DMC 1 and 2, because I think that like especially the Gothic architecture is what they borrowed from DMC 2. It's definitely this fight where they got the monster designs going on.
Looks like a Bloodborne boss almost.
Yeah, almost. And then down she goes. Great fight.
I really do miss the vanilla version of that fight because it's the one time where we actually got to use the scythe.
So
it was a very cool cycle that it had.
So now this is just like a small movement section where we're going to be doing some grappling and platforming. So Dane, take it away, dude.
You decided to say that as soon as I took a drink of water. Very, very good.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
that's what I'm here for.
Folks, the Black in a Flash community is a community that uplifts and connects Black speedrunners of all levels, hosting special events throughout the year to raise money for charity and celebrate Black voices in the speedrunning scene. You can learn more or apply to get involved with Black in a Flash at gdq.gg/BAF. You can also follow blackinaflash.bsky.social on Blue Sky for the latest updates of everything happening with Black in the Flash. Additionally, if you want to see what's coming up on Hotfix, you can check out this week's schedule and explore our full season lineup at gq.gg/hotfix, or you can type !schedule into chat as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, this car is flying through the air, and we have to prevent it from crashing into this bridge. So Dante's just gonna knock down the bridge. And then...
What convenient timing that as soon as it starts to crumble.
So now we are in mission 16. And this is where Dante, Kat, and Virgil decide they are going to launch their ultimate assault on Mundus's headquarters. They're like, okay, we got to take down this guy now. You know, no more fun and games, because the rest of this was so cheery up until this point. So the whole city is like collapsing, and Dante's like, I got to get over there now, dude. Like, oh, sheesh. So we're going to come up on this right here. And like the narration in this section of the game is pretty cool because it goes like very Mission Impossible or like crime heist movie almost, because Kat like starts narrating everything that you're going to do to you, and like it overlays with like blueprints of the tower and everything. It's pretty dope. We got to crowd control this witch real quick here. She wanted to be a little funny. All right, but she's down now. This guy. That guy. All right, sweet.
Yeah, he was being more funny than the witch.
And then this is the part where the game just wants us to get inside the building as soon as possible. We can just ignore all these enemies, though, and just kind of run past them. And then we can kill this guy with, or defeat this guy with the axe and some Devil Trigger. And then we got to take an elevator ride. Everybody's favorite part of video games.
I think it even has elevator.
I think it does,
too.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's not as bad as the elevator ride in like Killer is Dead, but it is pretty funny though. So once these guys go down, Kat's gonna relay a little bit more info to us. Again, you're gonna see like these really cool blueprints and the overlaying of the narrative going on. Pretty dope. She deactivates the laser hallway here. And this is corporate hell. This is where like the souls of the damned that are forced to work a 9 to 5 for all eternity are. We're gonna knock that guy into that meeting room there essentially. And then we're gonna take out the bathos.
We're now playing Control, I see.
Oh, pretty much, yeah. This is also a pretty funny quirk of the movement in this game, where you can just spin Dante around in the elevator infinitely. Dante also gets out, I think, on the wrong floor.
The floor Cat tells him not to get out on.
She's like, don't go to 104. And he's like, 104, right? Okay, yeah. And then it's like, oh, wait, no. Hold on. She wants him to get out at 105. Taking out the witch here, too. And I just want to highlight here, too, that, like, a big difficulty of this game's speedrun is, like, adapting to where, like, how enemies group, being able to group them yourself, as well as like adjusting to where they are and where they end up after certain like clearings happen. And Anemone has been doing like a really, really good job of just controlling so many of these fights, because like every room in this game just has a strat for it. And being able to just walk into a room and know what you need to do, like not only the fixed stuff, but like the adaptive stuff is so important to like running this game. And it's really impressive to whenever I see like him and JJ Toro run this game. It's so cool. So cool. There's also a laser hallway here.
A bug that can happen in this room is you'll get a black and white variation of this room that will not go away until you die or restart from checkpoint. And you will not get, you would have to memorize the timings of each laser to be able to get through it. And what is like this mode. Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw that.
Elevator bug 2, if you hit any button during this cutscene in particular, you will get an infinite load. So you just take your hands off.
I didn't know all that.
It has happened to me a few times. Toro was the one who told me about it. Just don't hit any button. Hit skip and take your hands off.
So now that we're heading out of the danger zone here, we're going to go into this level, and then we're going to sit in this elevator for a while where Dante is just going to be like, they're right. This really is hell.
It's going to be tough.
And I believe we're going to end up right on top of the tower at this point as well, because we're going to get into the final fights of this. And this is sort of where the build-up with Drekovac is supposed to like crescendo and come to a climax and everything. And he doesn't even get like his own health bar or anything like that. He gets like a big intro and everything, and he's supposed to be like this big opposing force. And then this is what's going to happen to him. All right, so that was the big rival fight there for the enemies, I guess.
Wow. Just demolished.
Demolished. Really putting the demon in demolition. And so now that that fight is over, we're going to get into one of the biggest skips in the game, too, that doesn't even involve really infinite climb. And it might just be one of the biggest skips in general, just considering how much of this level it skips. This is the Well of Souls, or the Furnace of Souls. This level is stacked on top of itself. So Anemone is going to be managing these two enemies, and he's going to take out the red enemy first. And then he's going to head over to this blue enemy and then bring him all the way up to where there's this angel pool right here. And then he's going to be able to... Oops. Okay, well, you hate to see it. I
missed it.
But it's cool. So we can actually back this up by just doing an infinite climb all the way up to where this angel lift is. And then this takes us to an entirely different area in the level. I believe. Yes. Nice. Yeah. So sometimes that angel lift is a little bit wonky in terms of like whether or not it wants to detect, you know, like Dante's ability to grapple it, just because of the angle that we're coming at it from. So always nice to be able to back that up there. So we've just skipped like probably 2 or 3 fights, something like that. And it's pretty long, like traversal sections as well. There's one last fight here, but we're also not going to do that. We're just going to actually like skirt around the outside of this arena and just use the geometry poking out to our advantage.
I mean, even with all the fights that you're skipping, an enemy's still fighting many enemies.
Yeah, that was a tongue twister, dude. Good grief. All right.
If you miss those first 3 angel pools, you don't want to be pulling them too quickly, but if you happen to miss them, you're going to have to redo that skip that we just did.
Yeah, and it's not fun. This is also the reason that we actually buy Vital Stars in this run, is because you can essentially damage boost through that level, because normally what happens in that level is when you're not sequence breaking it, there will be sections where like there's downtime on the fire, but we're skipping a lot of that. So you just have to deal with it constantly coming up. So now there's a puzzle here that's fixed. I don't remember the solution to this offhand, so I always just have it in my splits. I even had a
command. 3 up 1, down 2, right 2, down 1.
And this is why his time's better, folks. This is why his time's better. So this level also got a bit of a revision on Definitive Edition, and it actually is the reason that we can't straight up skip it anymore. So the way that this level used to work is in the vanilla version of the game, you would do these fights at the sun lasers, or like the sunbeams, or whatever you want to call them, the big things. You used to do these fights at the big things, and then you would go to the other big things and then do the fights there, and then the level would end once you reach this center area. However, in Definitive Edition, they actually added fights to the interim. So like when you're crossing through this middle area here, you have to do what amounts to 4 additional fights. So now the end of the mission is not tied simply to completing the puzzle. It is completing the puzzle as well as fighting the last 2 enemies that are in the final like additional fight. So what used to happen is we used to be able to skip over the trigger that would have the cutscene activate like the whole sequence, and then we would solve the puzzle, and then it would just allow you to go to the end of the mission. But now here, you have to do all these additional fights. And if you're wondering, like, well, is PC faster then? Still no, because of turbo mode being a thing, which, you know, just increases the entire game speed. Plus we have access to every other skip that's in the vanilla version of the game. Plus we have access to the ability to use Trinity Smash and like the other red weapons on the angel enemies as well. So a lot of different options kind of lead up to time save that pretty much equals out to what we would be saving, or almost what we would be saving in this mission. Devil trigger management on these fights as well is like really important, because you have to just like make sure that you, wow, okay, those guys really didn't want to come party. Usually they crowd around that butcher pretty heartily and you can just blow them all up, but unfortunate.
That's 2 online, Virgil. Good, rebooting.
Yeah, the game it doesn't have many RNG spots, but the RNG spots it does have, it can be you save 30 seconds or you lose 15.
He just got knocked back. Did you just see that? He just got...
Not even the environment wants to party.
One more.
All right, so going to be coming up on the 3rd additional fight here. Once again, we're going to be pulling enemies together with Aquila here. This dude here, the Juggernaut. Ooh, nice little roll there through the fault line. And then we're going to be getting up higher into the air. Boom, taking these guys out. Nice. And then the Rages going to get taken down by... This is what was supposed to happen in the nightclub, but things happened.
Another in the bag. Any problems? No.
Mm-hmm. And that's with all speedruns, really. Everything's good until it's time to do it.
You nail it first try every time in practice, but then during actual runs, you fail it 15 times in a row.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that the truth? All right, so last big thing fight. I'm going to be struggling for a word for these things for a while. And it's going to come to me as soon as the run ends.
These.
Oh yeah, this Kablooey thing here too. I forgot to mention this. So Kablooey actually shares all of the animations with the shotgun in this game. So once you have the shotgun, you've seen all the unique animations for the guns. But the Kablooey puts like darts into enemies and then you can manually detonate them. There's a theory that there was a earlier version of this gun and there's some in the files where it's labeled as stasis gun. So it's possible that like there was a version of this gun where it could actually freeze enemies and maybe it was just scrapped during development. It's an interesting like thing to think about because Kablooey's existence for the most part is a little weird because it like there's really no like viable moves or anything for it. So it feels like it could have been more. So it's interesting though. A freeze gun would have been pretty tight. And now mission 19. We're gonna get some more Devil Trigger stuff, and now we actually get to fight Mundus. We're done fighting normal enemies. It's time to fight Mundus now. And Mundus, being the king of the demons, has decided to embody himself as a pile of garbage that is made from the from the scrap of the city.
I too am a pile of garbage.
Get to the eye.
So now we're gonna yoink his eye out here. He's like, "Argh!" And then we're gonna see Virgil here. This is like the most useful Virgil's gonna be this entire run. There is, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but there is a possibility that like Virgil can just not teleport to these doors and he'll just be like walking slowly to all of them. Okay, he didn't do that. That's nice. But you can lose a lot of time if he just decides to like saunter through the entire level.
If he doesn't appear at that second door that he kicked in, you have to restart the level because he won't go to it.
Oh my gosh. This guy.
Someone in chat said one man's trash is another man's Mundus.
Incredible. So
in
now,
vanilla, it was very important that you did demon dodge these hand attacks that he has, but because of how strong DT is in this version, it's not needed.
yup. So now we're gonna pull out the other eye here, and then Anemone is gonna, I think, just reset. Yep, gonna reset the attack pattern for the boss, and then gonna try and parry this thing back at him. I guess we're just going to do this. That's fine. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. And now for like one of the coolest moments in the game, where randomly he yells the effect of the Eric stomp, and then he decides to just be like, smile for the camera. And then Moon just is like, oh no, sheesh. And that's not it. At this point, Virgil is like, actually, Dante, I would like to rule the demons. And Dante's like, dude, there's a 50% off sale on Hot Topic. We can settle this like men. But Virgil is like, nope, I just want to fight you. And so Dante's like, all right, well, we'll do that. That's fine. And so now, time will be coming up soon, because Anemone is going to be doing some demon dodges to Virgil and just using the axe to smack away his health. And Anemone, if you want to call time, once this guy's dead.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool cutscenes that play during this fight too. Pretty dope.
That's time.
Nice.
Gee.
Sick.
Hold on. This is a fast-paced game. Like, holy moly! I mean, granted, it's Devil May Cry, but it's faster than I expected it to be.
Yeah, you're always doing something in this game. It is.
This
It is
cutscene is.
Most of the time you're sulking, but we'll leave that out of the run.
Dante is apparently a shish kebab enjoyer.
Yep, I agree.
Very good. All right. Well, did you want to do any shout outs? And an enemy, tell us where we can find you on the internet.
You can find me at twitch.tv/anemonev2. I do speedruns. I play Tekken. Most of the time it has been just Tekken. I'd like to thank Cosmic for coming on and commentating for me. I've had a hectic week, and it'll just be more and more hectic until a little bit later down the line. But a big thank you to him. Big thank you to Circle C, who put me on. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank GDQ for having the run. It's appreciative. And that's about it.
Cosmic?
I just want to say, like, again, like, Anemone is like one of two people in the world that really, really are sick at this version of the game, and just like overall. And he's put like a lot of work into this game. So it was quite a privilege to be able to come on and commentate for him doing this run, and he just killed it, man. So I'm always happy to have like more people experience how cool this run is, because it's so sick.
Nice. Well, yeah, thank you for coming on the show and showing it off. It was I definitely wanted to have this run on at some point, and it happened to work out that we got it for this one. So thank you for showing it off. Alrighty, folks, we are going to take a quick little break just to kind of get prepped for the next run, and our very own Cosmic here will actually be doing it for DMC 4. So we're going to take a quick break, stretch, get some water. Welcome back to Crosshair here on the GDQ Hotfix. We just saw an awesome run of Ninja Theory's DMC with an enemy V2, and we are going to chug right along into our second run of the day, which is DMC 4 with my very good friend DE Cosmic. Cosmic, welcome back to Crosshair.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah,
man.
This is my first actual run on Crosshair. I've done 2 commentaries for it with Asuka's DMC3 Heaven or Hell run, and then Anemone, which you just saw. So I'm happy to be doing a run on the show. That's pretty dope. And we're going to be playing as 2 awesome characters in Devil May Cry 4. We're going to be playing the Lady and Trish campaign. My name, by the way, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm DE Cosmic, and I run every DMC, and I run a bunch of other action games. The guns in between these 2 characters are super good. So I am excited to show you all how awesome they get. So we're going to get on into it in 3, 2, 1, Devil May Cry.
Good luck.
Thank you. So I'm going to like just explain this fight real quick and then explain a quirk about the save file that we're using. So we're going to shoot Dante with a rocket launcher real quick here. And then we're going to be able to just have some grenades come out and hit him. And then when he gets up, we're going to shoot him with a shotgun. Lady is the walking arsenal, and she earns that name through and through. We're going to grab this. All right, it's cool. So we had to get no damage there. Now we're out of the fires a little bit. Okay, so normally when you run this category, you would have to go through a whole like tutorial and everything, and there's strats for all that and everything, but we actually have a save file now where we can start with 0 orbs and 0 proud souls. Proud souls are what we're going to use to buy abilities. Red orbs are what we're going to use to buy consumables. So we can skip like a whole minute of that, which is pretty dope, which made this category a lot more fun to run, along with Virgil. So Lady's big thing that we're going to be using in this run is going to be her shotgun. There's 3 levels to all of her guns. Her main guns are pistols, shotgun, and also her rocket launcher. So the shotgun is going to be the big one, and we're just going to be managing the charge levels on that the entire time. And the first item that we're going to get here, this is actually going to be like a bunch of stuff that's shared between her and Nero. And then later on, Trish is going to take over during the Dante sections. So a lot of this is going to be pretty much a repeat of what you'd like, in terms of levels anyway. It's going to be a repeat of what you'd see in a normal Devil May Cry 4 run, but we're going to be tackling most of it entirely differently. So as you can see here, that first charge shot that we grabbed for the shotgun is really, really strong. And every time that we're going over to a new fight, we want to be sure that we refresh that charge shot level, because we just want to make sure we have it on deck. So there's a thing where when you run through a door in this game, you can hold down the gun button, which I have mapped to L1. And so like if, for example, we don't have any charge right here, then through this load screen, I can actually just hold it down. And then instead of having to shoot the shotgun and then waste a bunch of time waiting for it to charge up, I can actually just switch off of a weapon and then switch back to the shotgun in order to start charging the shotgun. This is something that I just basically call like, I've gone through a bunch of different names from it, from like charge partitioning to stock holding, but now it's like stock exchange. I don't know. Eventually I'll land on one that I'm happy with, but stock exchange is kind of funny. So we're going to go over to this right here, activate this bridge, and then we're just going to kind of run on through. We're going to actually be getting into the first boss of the game, which is going to be Burial. Now, normally, when Nero fights this boss, Nero has to deal with a lot of RNG from the boss's attacks. But if I can do this correctly, we're not going to have to deal with any of that, because Lady is actually going to be able to stun loop him with her shotgun. Again, this thing is really powerful. When you play this game casually with Lady, a lot of people tend to default to the rocket launcher as like the big boom weapon, but the shotgun is where a lot of the power really lies. So here we go. So there's the stun loop right there. All right, now he's down. All right, we're just gonna play this a little safe. All right. And he's down. So, yeah, like pretty much no RNG to that fight. There is like a slightly harder strat you can do where you like min-max the charge shots that you do. And then he goes down immediately from the grenade blast that we use to actually like you get involve frames through his big explosion. So Lady's Devil Trigger, since she's a human, a couple of quirks with her, by the way. She takes more damage than everybody since she's a human. And also her Devil Trigger, she doesn't have one. She just has like a giant grenade attack that is just called Burst Attack. So she throws out a bunch of grenades around her and she gains invulnerability frames during it. And she'll do a lot of damage. The more Devil Trigger stocks that you have, or the more Burst Attack stocks that you have, which are those like yellow grenades up in the left-hand corner, she'll throw more grenades out and it'll do more damage. So we're going to invest in that a little bit later for some purpose. Some of it's for Trish, some of it is cool for Lady as well. But we're going to also grab level 2 charge shot for the shotgun. And this is going to be our main priority until we hit charge shot level 3, and then we're going to start branching out to get utility for more things later in the game. But we're going to be coming up on the castle here. We're going to get introduced to a new type of enemy called the Frost. We were just kind of fighting the Scarecrow fodder enemy. We're going to move the camera off screen so that the one Frost can't queue up any attacks yet. And then now he's going to be going down. Nice. Excellent. So as we're heading into the castle here, I should note too that any cutscenes that would normally play during these sections of the game are just going to get omitted by the game entirely. Not only did Capcom change some of the AI for the bosses to better fit Lady, I think some of them like run away a little bit harder or something like that, but they also omitted a bunch of cutscenes that just don't make sense for her being like in the driver's seat. Ooh, excuse me. So we're just going to use the grenades here to take out a bunch of these guys. And then we're going to kind of get into a little mini skip, if I can do this correctly. This is a little bit tough. This was found by my buddy One Sanitarium, and then later optimized by Art Killer and Ren Zero. So we're going to go ahead and do this. All right, we're going to try this again. We have to get a trigger to happen here where these little like Grim Grips happen. So here we go.
If you can't do Devil Trigger, then you got to do some other trigger.
It's true, yeah. So we had to hit like a spatial trigger there where the Grim Grips will actually pop up where the game thinks that you're supposed to be. And normally you'd have to like zip around with the grenade or like with your grapple and everything, which is like Lady's version of Nero's grab. Hers functions a little bit differently. She can't like pull enemies to herself. She can only pull herself to enemies, or she can like throw them up in the air or throw them down. But you can kind of just angle some things there, which is like a big part of the skips in this game. The way that they exploit the level design is through use of momentum. So that was a big one there, where we used like the dash that you can do with the shotgun right off the edge. And then we were able to just catapult ourselves forward, stall in the air a little bit with the hand grenades, and then use the Grim Grips. We're going to go up here. Again, they adjusted this level for Lady so that she could actually go up and get that, since she doesn't have a grab like Nero does to get the holy water. So a lot of like little quality of life changes were done when they, you know, modified the campaign for her, which is pretty neat to see. So we're going to take out this right here. Excuse me. Nice. And then we're going to just take out this guy with the rocket launcher so that we can actually maintain our position on the other end of this room. So now we're going to fight the Angelos here. And the Angelos are cool because they spawn it. They take so long to spawn in that we can just have setups for them. So those guys all just got taken out by some grenades. Pretty dope.
Nice.
Yeah. So now we're going to see, we actually got a pretty good start to the run here. So we're going to be set up pretty nicely to actually skip a menu in the next couple of levels. But in the meantime, we're going to buy the final upgrade for the shotgun. And this is where things really start to get broken. So, but first, before we get into that, we've got the gyros. And the gyro blades are these little like puzzle elements that we have to knock around each room in order to open doors and everything. And we just kind of have to use that. We're going to use one in this next room to actually clear the wave of enemies out. So I'm going to just hit this with her bayonet, take that guy out. Another enemy is going to spawn in, and then we're just going to use this right here to take him out again.
There's actually a question in chat. Is the Lady speedrun faster than Nero or Dante?
So I would say that if like we didn't find any of the skips for Nero and Dante, it probably would be. Lady actually keeps up pretty well with Nero, despite all of the things that Nero can skip that she can't. But Nero ends up skipping so much and does so much damage on top of that, that Lady and Trish end up lagging a little bit behind. I would say that like if Lady had like a single couple of, because Lady's like biggest problem is verticality, and the way that Nero skips a lot of the game is through use of like his awesome verticality that he gains in his skips. So what Lady lacks in verticality, though, she removes a lot of the RNG that Nero would otherwise have to deal with in certain scenarios. So that's kind of how she keeps up. To answer the question directly, no, it's not as fast.
And then obligatory orb.
Orb. This right here is a little bit of a manipulation that we're going to do with the gyro blades. So if you played this game casually, you probably like tried to bring both gyro blades back at once. But we only have to go and just grab the one gyro blade, and then the other one will spawn in the third place here in a moment. I'm going to take this guy out. I'm going to do the Evil Knievel off the side there, and then shoot that guy in the face. While we do, because this is just going to be a couple more gyro blade sections, if you got anything you need to talk about, Dane, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, folks, we saw a little post in there earlier about Frame Fatales. Frame Fatales is GDQ's all-women and femme speedrunning community. They're preparing for the next event, Flame Fatales, which is running from September 7th to the 14th. The schedule is now live at gamesdonequick.com/schedule/58. You can type !FF in chat for more information on how you can join the Discord and stay up to date with all things Frame Fatales. It's hard to say that multiple times. And speaking also of support, I did see a resub earlier, and thank you to everyone who is supporting GDQ Hotfix with your subs, your Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and your bits cheered. Your contributions help keep our shows running. If you're enjoying the stream, consider subscribing for exclusive emotes, ad-free viewing, and access to chat during replays. And you can always support the stream for free by sharing the GDQ Twitch channel with your friends and loved ones.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And let's go women. So now we're going to use a holy water on the succubus here. So this frog's going to pop out. We're going to use the burst attack to immediately get him stunned. And then he's down now. So normally Nero in this case would actually have to deal with an RNG attack, and he would have to look for certain attacks to happen before he could, stun the boss. Lady will just get eaten by the frog here every time, and then we'll do the burst attack out. So, like, all RNG in that boss fight is removed, so it's consistently just as fast for her all the time. So now a bunch of menuing here. We're going to get Bayonet Sting, which is going to be like our slam down. We're going to... Interesting. Okay. We're going to be missing a little bit. We're not going to be able to skip that menu entirely then that I was talking about, making a liar out of me. But it's cool. We're going to get her double jump as well. So we're going to grab this guy right here. And these guys, the Mephistos, their cloaks are like the biggest boon because they function similarly to like the Death Scissors or the Death Scythes in some of the other DMC games where they can go out of bounds. So you immediately want to decloak them. And fortunately, Lady can just do that with like 2 grapples, which is pretty nice. We also used that holy water on that boss too to make it so that we wouldn't have to melee those succubi. That was a more recent change to the route done by Art Killer, where we actually just end up using that holy water a lot earlier. I was saving some of those holy waters for other things, and then Art was like, nope, we don't need to do that. And I was like, fair enough. As you can see, the shotgun here is really just shredding through like pretty much every enemy in our path. Yeah, it's quite powerful, especially against living things. So after we take out these guys here, all these enemies are going to be pretty closely grouped together, so we're just going to use burst attack on them. And then we're going to set up for these Mephistos right here. Oh, this guy survived. Nice. And that's pretty much going to be the level. So we're going to get out of here by running past this dude. And then we're going to head up through. We're going to smash this chandelier into the portrait of the leader of the Order of the Sword, which I think the way that they justified like Lady and Trish being here was that like they headed here after or before Nero and Dante to like go and check it out or something. There's some weird like bookend cutscenes and like some intermediary cutscenes that happen in this campaign, but largely it's just kind of to justify them being in these same levels that Nero and Dante are in during the events of 4. So we're going to grab the charge shot level 1 for the handguns. We're going to actually use that for a skip on the next level. And then we're going to come into this fight against the fish. This is where we're going to just let them all group together on the wall. And, oh, she didn't want to do it on the ground. So that's cool. All right. That's cool. All right. Now, this dice game that's coming up here, when you play this game casually, like myself, you probably thought, oh, this is completely RNG. I don't want to deal with this. And I thought for a while that nobody speedran this game because of this thing coming up here, but it actually turns out that it's not random. So the die on the top always oscillates, or it always rotates between 1, 4, 2, 6, 3, 5 in that order. So you can actually, by hitting it with a melee attack of your choice, or in Nero's case, his grab, you can manipulate the die to always be the same and just go through the board here the same way every time. Which, I mean, makes this pretty easy. You can just go always to the white squares or the gold squares. We don't even really have to worry about what those other things are going to do, because no.
Nice.
And then, all right, so now that this area is done, we're going to go and fight a giant window. Keep in mind that this is one of the best action games ever made, and it still has a boss that you could like apply Kleenex to, or Windex, and then defeat it. It's an incredible video game. But all we're going to have to do here is, now swords are bullets, and we're just gonna toss these guys right into the window constantly. Excuse me, if it would stop making a liar out of me. Ooh. And excuse me. All right. Well, you know, it was fine until it wasn't.
I mean, GG?
GG, I guess. A good cleaning, I suppose. And then we're going to come right on out of here. And we're going to have to do some fights against the Angelos, and they're also going to go down to the shotgun. However, these guys are just going to get defeated by the back. This guy's going to actually get stopped in his tracks here, and then we're going to use it there. And there's a couple more guys up here, and then we're going to actually get into an area where we're going to do some AI manipulation. Because what we're going to do is force some of the enemies to come to this corner, because enemies cannot like queue up attacks off screen. So we want them to try and like vie for position on screen. As you can see, this guy's like just immediately walking to me. Those guys nearly almost got caught by the same thing there. But nothing doing. We're moving on. And that's pretty much like the end of like this little first section here, because we're on out and we're going to be moving into, well, we're not going to be going anywhere like this.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. All right. Well, sick. Okay. All right.
This section's so much fun, you just wanted to do it again, clearly.
Yeah. Did I mention that lady has problems with verticality?
You did say that, yes.
All right. So we're going to be running on out of here. And we're going to do the micro optimization of where we jumped. We actually go to the right instead of the left. Oh my goodness. I should say too that like this is probably one of the hardest missions to no damage in the game. And that window fight can actually just go so awry that I'm so glad we made it out of there alive, because when things spiral out of control for Lady on that fight, they can really spiral out of control. Like I mentioned, she takes like 50% more damage or something than the other characters. Wow. Yeah, so, and those swords can combo into each other. So if she gets hit like 3 or 4 times, we're using base health. She's toast, dude. So I'm very glad we made it out of there alive. I'm ecstatic, actually.
The only hiccup was bouncing on those platforms to get up.
Be like that sometimes. So now, we're going to get into the forest here, where we're just going to run through here. This is what we're going to use to actually start charging the shotgun. And we're going to grab another holy water here. And this holy water is going to come into use later. This is where we're kind of starting to stack stuff for the late game, because the late game is really where a lot of this run is going to get blown wide open in a way that most other DMC runs are not. And so we're going to take out these guys. This is going to be a pretty difficult skip. It's going to be similar to what we did on Mission 3, but we're going to skip like an entire platforming section by lining up the shotgun and then using like some momentum mechanics with the double jump to like, oh, you'll see it in action here. I'm just going to try and get it down because it's pretty tough. So we're just going to go for it. Okay.
Get out of my way.
The lineup is so precise.
Nice. Okay,
well
nice,
done.
cool. Thank you.
Holy cow.
That was like the one part of the run where I was like, I really want to land this first try because it is so cool and so difficult. That was another trick that was found by my good buddy One Sanitarium. He has contributed like some pretty significant stuff to this run. One of the skips later in the game is going to be one that like him just randomly posting a video of it in a Reddit DMC speedrun or a Reddit DMC Discord single-handedly revived DMC4 speedrunning, so shout outs to him.
Nice.
We're just going to use we're going to use the rocket launcher here because even though this may seem a little bit slow, it's actually fast because we don't have to change our positioning throughout the room, so we can just go on. Now, Lady, unfortunately, is the only character now that has to actually do that extra fight, because the other characters you can manipulate the way that they interact with the grapple system to go down to a later area, this area that we're actually about to enter. But at least we have the little mini skip there with the platforming. What we did there was we used the charge shot from the handguns to actually drift a little bit after using the momentum carried from the double jump, and then turning ourselves around with a melee. And then burst attack is the final little bit of distance that we need because Lady moves slightly backwards during her burst attack. So we just use that for that little extra inch that we need to get right onto the platform. Now, Echidna here, she does not like to play nice sometimes, but we're just gonna hit her with the shotgun as well. We want to make sure that we're hitting her point blank because then as many pellets as possible are going to hit, and we also want to be sure that we got that going on, and then she's going to go down to the shotgun here.
She looks different than she does in the bouncer.
I want to say that's like her long-lost cousin, or maybe this is Echidna Once Upon a Time from the bouncer. I wasn't sure which direction you were going to go with that because I was like, is he going to go Knuckles or is he going to go the bouncer? I was like, I'm very happy that you went with the bouncer.
Given that you just ran the bouncer at SGDQ, I felt it was a little bit more appropriate to go that direction with it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
And I appreciate you, Cosmic.
Thank you. All right, so mission 8 here. This is going to be pretty much just 2 fights where, you guessed it, we're going to use the shotgun. on 2 of these guys. And I really kind of want to get a no damage on this mission as well, because we've been getting a lot of no damages, because the way that Proud Souls work in this game, I kind of glossed over them a little bit. But they are used exclusively to purchase abilities, and you can refund them depending on if you need, like, if you didn't get enough no damages, but you need certain abilities for certain missions. But I want to be able to stack up a lot of no damages because they give you more Proud Souls. And when we get to Trish's section, Trish is going to reap the benefits of all of the no damages and all the extra Proud Souls that we've gotten up until this point. So if we get a lot of no damages early on, Trish is going to have a lot more tools to work with sooner. So that is like a big reason that I'm just trying to play as cleanly as possible on top of it saving time. That's kind of a dynamic that DMC4 introduced to speedrunning in DMC, is that managing multiple playable characters across a campaign introduced a new layer to the economies, where maybe it's not actually faster to dump all the resources into one character and then just let the other character start fresh. What carries over to the second character can often make up for, you know, a lot of time. So like in this game, and then in DMC5 later on, a lot of the economy routing is done through the character that appears around mission 10 or 12. In both cases, I guess it would be Dante. In this case, it's Trish. This is also why, like, Virgil, who gets to play both campaigns by himself, never really has to worry about being behind on Proud Souls or Red Orbs, because he just gets to hog everything in an economy that's meant for, like, you know, 2 or 3 characters. So now we're going to get into... Go ahead.
I was going to say, we did have a question in chat. You obviously won't be able to do it for this run, but question is, have you ever done a Pandora-only run?
No, actually, but I think that some people have done, like, Pandora-only runs of, like, Super Dante in, like, Bloody Palace, because then you can use the gunship, and then that'll demolish everything. We are going to use the Pandora cannon, though, in this run, because Trish does use it. Because Trish is duct taped together by Dante and Virgil moves. So now we're going to do our last buy here with Lady. We're going to get the wire shot upgrades to the range, so it's going to allow us to grab things from further away, and we're also going to get more orbs. Now, get more orbs, it says it increases the range from which orbs gather to you. It essentially just makes it infinite. So now a lot of, like, you know, normally I'd be going around to pick up orbs from enemies. Now I can just gun to the end of the rooms and they'll just follow me. So it's a nice little quality of life upgrade, allows you to save a lot on movement where you'd otherwise have to route through the room. And that was another change that Art Killer made, was that I used to actually buy enemy step here. And then when Art Killer and Ren Zero came along and started running the game more, that enemy step was what we kind of figured out was not nearly as worth as I thought it would be. So get more orbs kind of took over. And as a result, the route for this actually got a little more safer, because enemy step is pretty expensive. And get more orbs is not. Also worth noting, too, that there's a lot more RNG that's routed out of this mission with Lady, because those night enemies, when they're in those formations of 3, they have a bunch of attacks that they can do together. And sometimes other characters like Nero, or in most cases Dante, will have to wait on them to do a certain attack with a giant orb. Lady doesn't have to care about that. She's just like, we're just rolling high all day with the double barrel. So we're going to grab this right here, and I am going to try and snake my way through there. Excellent. And we're going to actually get into Agnes here in a moment. Now, Agnes's big thing is that he operates on, like, phases with his health. So we want to push him past a phase of health where he would call, like, a bunch of fish up. They can stun you a lot and do a lot of damage, and then he gets an extra attack that's really annoying with them. So if I do this correctly, we're going to be able to just kind of push him past that phase. And we're just going to be able to stun loop him. We're going to use burst attack here to not only do a lot of damage to him, but also kill the swords that were around him, because they actually provide us a lot of devil trigger for burst attack. And he's down. Nice.
GG.
Cool. Coming up is going to be the second use of holy water in this run. And it's going to be another instance where we're going to use the holy water to eliminate some of the randomness of some of these enemies that some characters otherwise would have to deal with. We're just going to use the holy water. These Mephistos and then the Fausts, which are like the powered up version of the Mephistos. They take a lot more damage to decloak them. So we don't really want to deal with that, especially because Lady doesn't really have ways to displace these enemies that are super reliable. And if you try and use like a level 3 charge shot shotgun on them, they'll actually get blown backward. So you'd have to do, if you don't have enemy step here, it's just better to use the holy water to just rush through. And we're going to be doing a little bit of movement here. We're going to be running like through a laser hallway, running through a bunch of lasers as we get to another fight, and eventually the boss. So Dane, if you have some more announcements, you can go right ahead.
Sure. The camera's so disorienting in this area.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, folks, if you're enjoying the run and you're looking to get more involved with the GDQ community, you can join the official Games Done Quick Discord and add the hotfix role to stay in the loop on upcoming events, chat with staff like myself, and more. Use !Discord in Twitch chat for an invite and for more info. And speaking of hotfix, our hotfix summer merch collection is live. If you're a hotfix fan, and I know you are because you're watching right now, make sure to head on over to theyeti.com/GDQ to check out our brand new hotfix shirt, keychain, and sticker pack. We have the sticker pack at the hotfix booth over SGDQ, and this sticker pack is actually like really big stickers. And I know there are people out there that are fans of stickers. So head on over to theyeti.com/GDQ. Remember, Yeti is spelled YETEE. Theyeti.com/GDQ to check out that merch line.
Awesome. Very cool. So, unfortunately, this is where we get in, like, this is where Lady is just straight up slower than Virgil or Nero. It's because she can't actually skip that fight. Virgil and Nero can just sail right over it and just go to the door there. Lady has to be like, oh, dang it. But then she remembers she has her shotgun, and it's all good. This room is something where we do something a little bit differently than the other characters, where they'll usually use the holy water for this level here, but these enemies are a lot easier to control with the shotgun than the Mephistos and the Fausts. So we're just going to do that. This fight right here against Dante is going to be a little weird, so let me see if I can get him to... All right, of course he did it there. Yep. He jumped again and used his iframes there, so this could be not great. All right, so we're going to try and loop him here. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit slower than it usually is, because normally we would just have burst attack here. We're just going to bait him into dashing at us, because otherwise that dash has iframes. And we just kind of want him to use that to leave himself open, because there is recovery on the... And then he does that. Nice. Sick. All right. Okay, that's cool. I don't know what you're doing, Dante, but I really don't like it, dude. All right, well, that was unfortunate, but this boss sometimes, like, he's really, really consistent, and then other times he just decides he wants to, like, activate all of his iframes in a row, and I'm just like, dang it, man. He wants to just remind me who the real legendary Dark Knight is, I guess.
Right. I'm still starting the show.
Right, yeah. Like, even though I kind of got sidelined in the first half of this game, I'm still here. So we're actually approaching the end of the lady section here. This is the mission where we're going to fight Sanctus, who's the leader of the Order of the Sword. Dante actually, takes him out at the beginning of the game, and he acquires the power of like the Sword of Sparta because the Order of the Sword worships Dante's father as if he's a god, which Dante's father, again, is a demon. Oh no. All right, we're gonna just do this. That's fine. Just gonna have to wait until he actually gets up. This is what I mean by they're sometimes a little harder to corral than other enemies. Okay, cool. Nice. Unfortunate, but we move. So there's going to be a little bit of platforming here. We're going to actually get to see some of like the grapple movement that Lady can do. We skipped a bunch of it earlier. So we're going to be able to see just how you use the momentum from the double jump here. Fun fact, if you actually just don't hit anything with the double jump, then it actually carries more momentum than if you were to like hold it the direction that you want to go in. Because you're just going to transfer the momentum from the jump itself instead of readjusting to whatever direction it wants you to go in. And that's actually how the skip on Mission 7 works. All right. So now we're going to get into the Sanctus fight here in a little bit. So Sanctus has a shield around him that we're going to use melee attacks to fell. And then we're going to use Lady's grapple to just knock him to the ground and hopefully in an advantageous spot. This is pretty good, actually. And then there's like a specific way that we want to kind of corral him into a corner here so we can just lay into him with the shotgun.
I see.
Nice. Okay, we're gonna unfortunately get hit there, but so we might have to get an extra cycle here because unfortunately with the shotgun, being so close range, it might not. Yeah, okay, cool. We lose so much damage on the travel time there. Good. All right, so now we're into the second phase. Here we want to use the melee attacks again, but then when we actually knock him out of the shield, we want to make sure that we use burst attack. Okay. Unfortunate. The unfortunate part of like the lock-on in this game is that sometimes it just does not go where you want it to because it actually prioritizes by default whatever you're facing. So when things go a little awry, then they can go a little awry. Like that. All right, so I'm gonna try it again. Thank you. All right. Unfortunate. Oh, nice. Okay, here we go. All right, that's fine. Unfortunate. Okay, cool. Now he's dead. After he gave me the most trouble of my life ever, he wanted more time on the stage, I guess. Unfortunate. Usually that's like a 2-cycle fight, but it's cool. So now we actually get to go and see what's up with Trish. So Trish is kind of like put together by a variety of Dante and Virgil moves, but she also packs, some of her own stuff that's pretty unique. We're going to buy a bunch of stuff for her. We'll get into what it all means here in a moment. And then we're going to buy a couple of holy waters. We're going to buy 3, actually. So Trish uses Luce and Ambra as her pistols, which are the pistols that Dante's father Sparta uses. She also uses the Sparta sword, and she uses her fists as well as the Pandora's box. as a weapon. Now, Pandora's box, it says it has all these different forms. We're really only going to see like 3 or 4 of them. We're going to also start off this section with a skip that I'm going to hopefully try and line up here. All right, we're going to have to try and salvage this actually. Nice. Okay, cool. And then hang on to your bit rate here.
Holy moly,
Yeah. So
the flashing lights.
yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, that is flashing lights. I apologize. I didn't give a warning. So
Yeah, it's all right.
So basically, the way that Trish's ability there called Round Trip works is that it does damage to that orb crystal every time there's a tick in the frame rate. So we're running at 120 FPS right now, which is twice what the game is supposed to run at. So every tick of Round Trip there gets us more orbs, and then we're doing more damage on top of that to it. So normally Dante will get, like, I don't know, 4 to 6K out of a orb crystal, maybe a little bit more than that. Trish is actually going to be packing like 40 to 50K out of every orb crystal. And this entirely breaks the economy of the game. So we're going to be using a lot more consumables in this run than we would, pretty much any other category of the game. Just because of the way that Trish actually works. And this is her Pandora cannon. It costs 3 bars of Devil Trigger to use, and it is a monster.
Yeah, no kidding.
It does so much damage. It covers like the whole screen. It's wild. So we're gonna head out of there, and so that was sort of our introduction to Trish. Again, she has pretty much like a combination of a bunch of moves. The skip there actually works because you can do her spin cycle move, the laundry cycle there, as well as, and then cancel it into a Pandora move where we're going to gain a little bit of height each time. And then we were able to do her dive kick to get to the end of that section. Otherwise, we would have had to do a fight with some frosts at the end there, or in the middle of like that gap there, and ride an elevator back up. So now that we've got all these extra red orbs, we're going to be buying a few things. Good. Okay. Nice. We are actually in quite a good spot. So we've got 6 holy waters on us. For comparison, a route like Nero and Dante would maybe have like 2 or 3 on them. So we're packing double that.
Nice.
And we're going to go through the forest here. There's always a set path to go through this forest. You pretty much just have to pay attention to where Echidna the She Viper is laughing, and then you'll know where to go. We're going to use Round Trip there to stall the enemies in place, and then we're going to use this V-Divider move to pull them to us, unless he wants to do that. These guys, by the way, they're Chimera Assaults. They can actually do damage to you while they're in hit stun and just knock you straight out of your combo. They're fun. And the way that Trish's barehanded combos work is whenever you throw Round Trip, she'll go into her barehanded stance, which is why you're going to always see me doing Round Trip and then doing this straight punch here. And we just want to make sure that we charge it up so like when her hand glows, we're just going to be able to do a lot of damage there as well. I'm going to use this to crowd control this guy. The great thing about Round Trip too, it's going to keep enemies crowd controlled. Sometimes it'll pull them together. And they're down. Sweet. So then we're going to do a little bit more run-in here. And this puzzle here, I didn't explain it earlier. But the way that it works is that you always want to run in the opposite direction of where the shadows are. So I forget exactly what the hint here reads, but it's supposed to lead you to that conclusion. So these shadows, they're facing away from us. So you just always want to run that direction. It's always the same every time. So here we're just going to like turn around and just dive kick into the load zone. And then we'll come out this way to the right.
Oh, okay. See.
And then it'll be the right again. We're actually going to hop behind us again to immediately be teleported to the boss arena, because that's faster than running up the stairs there. And then just dive kick into this. Throw a round trip here. Pandora Cannon. That's going to always do 2 bars of damage. And then we're going to use Pandora Cannon again here. And then Pandora Cannon one more time. All right. Just going to have to grab a little bit extra Devil Trigger here. All right. So, normally, if we had gotten enough Devil Trigger there, we would have just used another Pandora Cannon, but I'm just going to use the armor that we actually get from Devil Trigger here to not get interrupted by Echidna's attacks. And just use the spin cycle move. Because otherwise, like the tentacles that are popping up from the ground there are going to just try and interrupt everything we're doing. And Trish actually has to just kind of sit there while the Pandora Cannon is happening. She doesn't have any iframes or anything like that. So, unfortunate, but what can you do? The mission 14 here is definitely where the rubber kind of meets the road with this character, because a lot of her moves involve her sitting in one place or having to set up something. And those guys, the starfish that just popped out of the ground, if they eat you, they will send you to a fixed encounter, and you will have to restart whatever room you were just in.
Rip.
Yeah, no kidding. So we get through there, pretty much easy peasy. We're going to use the Devil Trigger pistol shots here. What I'm going to do here, though, is take out that guy, so we're not going to have to worry about him. And then use the round trip punches here. Once this guy comes up, we're going to use Pandora Cannon, or the Pandora cancels here, to build a ton of Devil Trigger. Excuse you. And then, okay, sweet. And then we're going to use Pandora Cannon to finish him off. This next room is, we're going to throw the round trip immediately, and then that'll allow us to get a little bit of extra Devil Trigger coming out the gate. We're going to throw it on him. This guy's going to always spawn here, so he's a pretty good first enemy to always go for. We want to just be mindful of where we are and like when we're actually setting up round trip, because that is what's going to cause Trish to, I couldn't attack there. I had to just immediately prioritize getting out of the range of the fault there. These enemies are called faults. Whoop, like that. So like you have to be pretty cautious of when you're actually doing setups with her on this section. Nice. Something that Trish is going to get to do on this mission, though, that is different from the other characters, is that she's going to be able to spend a holy water. So we're going to manipulate the spawns a little bit here by throwing a round trip and then taking this guy out. And then we'll call it back. Oh boy, that was unfortunate almost. All right, so now there's a bunch of guys that are going to spawn in. And we're going to use a holy water here. And then this guy's going to come out. All right. And we're out of there. Just using the Devil Trigger there to get a little bit more speed and a little bit more damage to avoid possibly getting caught by one of the faults in the last act there. Flashing lights warning as well. Because we're just going to pump more red orbs out of that. And we're going to be moving into... We're going to go back to the castle now. Should note, by the way, again, those of you that play this game casually, you probably noted that you go forward in this game and then you go backward through all of the levels. This is actually because of the budget that they received for this game. Hideaki Itsuno, who directed the game, said that they were given a budget for this game similar to the budget that they were given for Devil May Cry 3. And obviously, since they were working with newer gen hardware and they were working with a new engine than they were used to, it costs a little bit more to make a new game like this than to make like a PS2 game. So he said that they really focused on making the combat in this game really stellar and making sure that like that experience for the player was great. And that's why they unfortunately had to just kind of fold the level design in half. But for what it's worth, I think they did an awesome job, regardless of the limitations that they had. So,
yeah, unfortunate, but what can you do?
Yeah, I always feel like it's proper to point that out, just because, like, you know, they knew where the experience mattered for players, and that's what they chose to focus on. So I always think that's a great point. Now we're gonna head into this room. Once again, we're gonna use a holy water because Trish privilege. And we're gonna take these guys out with the Pandora cannon. And then we're gonna hit the red orbs more again right here. All right.
Obligatory orb.
Orb, dude, that's like orb.
There's so many of them. Every time you break one of those things.
Yep. I think there's 2 left in the game, so no, 3 left. We get a lot of them. There's a point, I think, where we should be buying like 16 holy waters or something.
Holy moly.
Yep. All right, so these guys are all corralled together. We're just going to use the Pandora cannon to do a bunch of damage to them. I had hoped that it would just straight up kill this Mega Scarecrow, but unfortunately that was not the case. And now we're going to... Oh boy. This guy. Look at this guy. He's a rock star. All right, we're going to do this. And then, all right, cool. So now this next room here has a pretty specific setup to it, where we're gonna step kind of to the right of where these frosts spawn in. And we'll be able to switch lock-ons about halfway through the second one spawning in. And we're just gonna be able to Pandora cannon those 2 and then set up on the other side of the room for another Pandora cannon. It's important here to wait until they both land as well, otherwise Trish is just gonna aim her Pandora cannon all the way up in the air, and it's not really going to hit anybody. And then here comes more orbs here in a second. This is less egregious because it's kind of in the distance. All right. Now, unfortunately, Trish, skipping to the top of the level here is like kind of slow because Dante and Virgil just don't even go down here ever. But it's actually more worth it for Trish to go down here because of all the orbs that she can get for consumable use later. So we just don't do like the little mini skip that we could otherwise kind of do there. And then we're gonna just do this. We're gonna use a holy water on this Bliss guy. I didn't really bother explaining what this guy is because it's not important. We don't ever actually fight him. He's got a lightning shield. But heck if I know how to fight him by this point. Now the frog here we're going to have a run back on. We're going to actually have to wait for some particular RNG with him. And we'll see if he actually gives it to me. Because we got to wait for like the frost breath ideally. All right. So he's going to be a little difficult. He's backing up. This is him like queuing up an attack. And I don't want to take the chance that he'll teleport away when I do the Pandora cannon, so I'm just kind of playing this a little safe. He's being really unfortunate. I'm just going to go for it. Oh, he didn't do anything. Cool. Sweet. So I guess I'm just going to have to do this real quick. Just get a little bit of extra damage. Because now we're going to have to deal with the succubus. Unfortunately, we didn't get to stun him. Otherwise, we'd be able to just do 2 more Pandora cannons to him. But Fortunately, round trip just kind of interrupts whatever these succubi want to do. As you can see, like when they charge at us, Trish just doesn't care. If there were an advantage that I would say that these two characters have over like the characters like Lady or like Nero and Dante is that their tools for solving things are pretty universal. Both of these characters, I want to say, were geared more towards like the legendary Dark Knight mode, which is where tons and tons of enemies crowd around you all the time, so their crowd control is extremely strong. So when you put that in like a normal difficulty, they're smashing through these hordes like nobody's business. Also, here is the skip that I talked about earlier that was found by one sanitarium that saves like a whole 2 minutes. Oh, if I would actually do it right. So I'm going to actually just make sure that I have the correct, I'm just going to make sure that I have the correct ability for this. So, let's just make sure here. Should be bare knuckle. There it is. Okay, so I did not get it. Cool. So the ceiling here has no collision, and otherwise we'd have to go through a bunch of winding tunnels. 1 second. Nice. Okay.
Nice.
Awesome. So now we don't have to go through all of those winding tunnels anymore. And one sanitarium, he just randomly posted in a server one day, hey, did anybody know that Trish can skip half of mission 16? Is this known? And he wasn't being like cheeky about it. He was just kind of curious because he just likes the game and he plays it a bunch. And immediately because I was like the only active Lady Trish runner at the time, immediately I was getting pinged like, Cosmic, come check this out, dude. And I was like, oh my gosh. And as a result of that, a skip for Dante was actually found. Previous to this, the only person that could skip that section of the level was Virgil. So that like completely revived Nero Dante running, and it like really sped up the Lady and Trish run as well. Really sick skip. Gets rid of like a huge pain point in the run. Again, just like 2 minutes easily saved there.
GG's one sanitarium.
Indeed. He calls that Zenbu skip, which I guess translates to skip. But the rest of us call it, I think he named it after like a Simpo Gear character. But the rest of us just call it gas skip. Because it skips the gas. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So heading down here, we're going to get to the second to last orb crystal in the game. And we're going to be doing the run back on Burial here. And Burial is going to go down kind of like a chump because we're just going to make use of Pandora Cannon again. And the thing about round trip as well that I haven't really talked about is that every round trip builds roughly a bar of Devil Trigger here. So we came into this with 5 and we have a maximum of 6. So we can build that extra little bar there with the use of round trip. And then we're just going to do this. And then we should be able to just take this guy out here with the holy water. So now we're pretty much totally out of holy water. And yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And that's him down. And then we're going to do the big holy water buy. So we've been stacking up all these holy waters and like all these red orbs and everything. So now we've got like almost 300,000.
Jeez.
So we're just going to go ahead and do this. So we've got like 14 of them, you know?
I mean, it's fast.
It's true. When in Rome. I mean, what are you going to do about it, dude? Truthfully.
Oh my God. I can't believe you just did that to me.
Look, man. Captive audience. Had to. So we're going to take these guys out with round trip. And again, these Angelos that are going to spawn, we're going to use a holy water on them. But we're going to be kind of chilling for a little bit. So before we get into the last leg of the run, is there anything, like any other announcements that you have to talk about?
Not too many, but I do want to let folks know that since we are coming up on the end of the run, we do have Speedruns from the Crypt coming up next after this. And if you miss anything from this show, or if you end up missing anything from Crypt for whatever reason, we are going to be replaying both shows after Crypt wraps up tonight. So if you missed anything, you still got a chance to watch it here on Twitch.
Nice. Thank you so much. Excuse me? Okay. Can I do this? That'll work. All right. So the tough part about this alley fight here is that there are out-of-bounds sections here that the Mephistos love to occupy, and if you actually decloak them while they're in those out-of-bounds sections, they'll just recloak and then just pop like back right up, and it's a little annoying. So this is the last orb crystal of the game. And there it goes. So once again, like, this is something that Trish pretty uniquely brings to the run, is her ability to just break the economy wide open. It's really like, it's really unique in the way that she just is able to make sure that, you know, you never are short on orbs. And as a result, there's just so many extra consumable uses in this run. And it's really interesting because, like, otherwise she would just be we'd just be kind of like running and gunning and punching dudes like the whole time. So I'm really glad that, like, her contribution is something economy related, because it's not very often that you get something that just breaks that system in a Devil May Cry game. So here we go. We're gonna grab this guy right here. The doggos are still good, don't worry. And we're actually coming up on the last, like, normal fight of the game before we kind of go through a boss rush. The next fight, or like the next boss after this level, though, is more of like a puzzle, but it's still a boss. So this thing right here, we're gonna just go ahead and shoot this guy with the pistols. And then take him out. Once his health is depleted, the Angelos are going to spawn in. We're going to go ahead and use a holy water. And then the Faust is going to spawn in. And he's down now. And then we're going to use this box right here to grab more Devil Trigger. Agnes here, when we get the run back on him, this is probably his most annoying form. He's one of the, like, the more annoying bosses in the game in this stage. But fortunately, we can still use the power of Pandora to deal a lot of damage to him. We also want to make sure that we take out these dogs, because they'll give us a lot of extra Devil Trigger. That's fine to knock him out there. And then we can do this right here. And we're just going to go ahead and use 2 more holy waters just to wrap things up quickly. So that is that guy down. And we're going to flash our guns at him, because I guess that's what cool people do. And then we're going to be getting into Savior. Now, Savior is... This fight went through like an entire reroute where we used to have to go down to like the center platform and bait out this guy's hand, because we weren't really sure how to, or at least I wasn't sure how to reliably knock this guy down so that we could solve the puzzle, so to speak. And the puzzle with this guy is that he has a bunch of orbs on him that we need to actually take out. And when we shoot him like this with the... Okay, we're going to go ahead and restart here, because I guess me hitting him in the arm affected things. We need to hit him in the chest a couple of times. So once we knock him down, we're going to have to take out a bunch of the blue orbs that are around his body. There we go. There's the animation that we wanted. Okay, that's unfortunate. All right, let me try this again. Come on. What are you doing, dude? And by dude, I mean me. There we go. All right. What the heck? Only on GDQ. That's never happened before.
Oh, he said that thing.
I did it.
I'm sure that hasn't happened before, though.
No, it really hasn't. Like,
oh, wow. Okay.
Usually that's just cut and dry. We hit him in the chest and he's done. But, okay. So now
Well,
we're going to actually skip a bunch of platforming here in a moment. So we're going to actually just bait out. If you stand right here, it baits out his attacks. And then we're going to be able to just take out the last bit of the blue orbs here. And then we're going to gain enough height to where it just immediately warps us over here.
Interesting.
And then we're going to use a small devil star here. And we're going to use a holy water to take out the last little bit of health there. And he's dead.
GG.
Thank you. So now we're going to get into the real last leg of the run here. There's going to be a big boss rush with Lady, and then we're going to fight Sanctus one more time. So we're going to, in case you didn't know, this game does like having you redo the fights. So Lady, again, we're just going to kind of rolling back up on these guys with the shotgun. The first fight, however, this is going to be kind of to symbolize Credo, who we fought back on Mission 8. He's the only boss that you don't fight a repeat of. So there's going to be a bunch of Angelos here. And we're just going to use a holy water on them. All right. So they're all in. And we're actually going to jump there to avoid the animation of Lady like pulling out the holy water and using it. Okay, I might have actually hit that a little bit too late. I did. Okay. That's fine, though. Because all this is going to do is just drop down a bunch of blue orbs. Or red orbs, I'm sorry. So now we're just going to have to go for the 4. All right, cool. So now we're going to go ahead and fight Burial. Contrary to Mission 2, now we've got level 3 shotguns, so he's going to go down even easier. And there he is. So now the frog here, again, remember on Mission 4 that we wanted him to eat us? We want him to do that again. And then when he actually does that is when we're going to use a Devil Star to get the burst attack up. So hopefully that'll just happen. Sometimes he's pretty nice about it. Okay. Nope. That's fine. Come on, buddy. I believe in you. Oh, nice. So now we're going to use this Devil Star in his mouth. And he's stunned again. And there he goes. Now again, we get more orbs, so these are all orbs are just going to be attracted right to us. And we can just head straight for the exit. Echidna here is going to kind of go the same way as before on Mission 7, since we were packing a lot of firepower on her back on Mission 7. We just got to be a little bit careful to temper our DPS here. We got to wait for her to stop recoiling. And then we're just going to use level 0 shotgun in order to fell her. And she's gone. So, second to last fight here, Agnes, also gonna kind of go the same way. Because we just have a lot of firepower right now. And we're gonna build a lot of burst attack off of him. We're just gonna do some jump loops here. We want to make sure that we try and not hit the ground nearly as much as I did there. Oh, this is the health threshold that we actually wanted to avoid, but we dodged the attack just in time, so that's fine. Now he should be out of that health threshold, and we're good. We're out of there. So now we're going to be heading into the final fight here in a moment, and this is going to be a nice little special treat, because the way that we deal with him is quite hilarious. So up until this point, we've been using all these different attacks. We've been using the shotgun. We've been using the rocket launcher sometimes. We even made use of the pistols a few times. We got the grappling hook. You know, we got Pandora cannon from Trish. We had, you know, her duffing people with her fists. Everything. We were throwing everything but the kitchen sink at these guys. Now, what if I told you that the amount of holy waters that we have means that we don't have to do anything to this guy but hit him with the super soaker?
I see where this is going.
So we're going to pop his shield, and we're going to do some incredible, skillful menuing.
What a riveting final fight.
For real. And time's going to be coming up in time.
GG. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, yeah. So tell everyone where we can find you on the internet and give us any shout outs you want to shout out.
Cool. So yeah, my name is DE Cosmic. You can find me on twitch.tv/DE Cosmic or on youtube.com/@DE Cosmic Runs. Shout outs to my homies in the Delaware FGC. They're having a session tonight. I decided to do this instead today, so I decided to wear the Delaware FGC shirt in their stead. This is my friend's cat, by the way. That's on the shirt. But love all those dudes. It's great. We have a YouTube as well, at Delaware FGC on YouTube. And then I have a podcast called Even Though Nobody Asked, where we talk about speedrunning and other stuff that matters to us, which is pretty cool. I want to say thank you to Dane for having me on. I really like this run. I think it's dope, even though it's a little on the simpler side for the Devil May Cry series. But there's a lot of unique aspects to it that I think are really cool, and I appreciate you having it on, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for agreeing to come on and show it, and gave me a reason to have Devil May Cry on Crosshair, because I've been wanting to do a Devil May Cry episode, and you submitted this one, and I was like, hey, we got the makings of a whole episode locked in. So yeah, thank you for showing it. And folks, all good things must come to an end, and so too it must be that Crosshair come to an end this evening. But fear not, the GDQ Hotfix, which is also a good thing, is not over yet, because coming up next, we've got speedruns from the crypt. So stick around for some spooky speedruns. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Crosshair. I'm not going to give you a hint for this one because I'm still locking in that show, but we'll see you again in 2 weeks for another episode. And with that said, no matter what your dreams, goals, or hopes are in this world, always keep them in your crosshair. We'll see you next time.